So she being the best of women, Maryam, Isa, alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ali Imran, وإذ قالت الملائكة يا مريم إن الله اصطفاك وطهرك واصطفاك على نساء العالمين يا مريم اقنطي لربك واسجدي واركعي مع الراكعين. So in these two ayat in Surah Al Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the issue of when the angels came to Maryam and said to her, verily or indeed Allah has chosen you and he has made you pure, purified you, and he has chosen you above all the women of the world. Right? So this is coming from the Quran, and so a non-Muslim at times would be shocked to hear that we say this. In particular, maybe even people who are Catholics, because the Catholics, they have a huge, connection to Mary, more so than other denominations or the other Christian religions. So so they really adore Mary, right? So there's, if you ever attend a Catholic service, they the Hail Mary, and they have hymns talking about Mary,
Mother of God.
right? Yes, so they honor her. So they have many statues of her and pictures of her. So they really adore her in that way. So to hear that this comes from the Quran, they would maybe shocked that we believe such uh, um, position and stature that she has. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to continue and has the angel to command her, said, "O Mary, be devout. Be devoutly obedient to Allah." So it's reminding her, be obedient to Allah, because what she's going to also have to adhere to and come across as well. And it's always a reminder to the believers. So it says, be obedient to your Lord and bow down to him, prostrate before him and bow down amongst those uh, who bow down in prayer, right? So to be amongst the believers who pray, who do offer their prayers, right? And so um, this way of praying, of course, also that we find is the same way we still pray today. We still bow, we prostrate, we make what we call ruku or sujood, right? And we stand in prayer. So the prayer we may cause them to wonder: has it ever been anything other than the way it has been? Except for people changed it up, you know, because nowadays you don't find too many people that go through the motions as the Muslims still do today. As far as you may see people do now, is they may get on their knees, right? But that's just the zealous position, right? But really they need to get their faces on the floor, right?
She pronounced each pray like also in Matthew 26:39.
No, right. So you don't find too many people honoring that, and you have to ask yourself why. Why don't you pray the way Jesus prayed if you do indeed believe in him and follow him? Play it. So in this season, no doubt we see, alhamdulillah, I don't see it so much on this side of town, right? As far as the Christmas and everything, right? But we see these things here and there. You may see a store, they have a tree up here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll see a few, right? You see, yeah. Some of them, yeah. I've seen a few here and there, but not a lot like I used to. I think when I was growing up, But you'll see a few things here with but even the snowman's now. A snowman is more snowman than Santa Claus and and the reindeer.
Yeah.
But you'll see here and there a few, nativity scenes or whatever.
Right. Oh, you talking about that? Not just the the
Right.
Christmas stuff, like before the nativity, the
Right,
tree
the tree,
and
right,
the
the tree
baby
and
and the baby.
the manger, and
Right,
that's
yeah, right.
scenery. So you see that periodically, but you see a lot of snowmen and
Mm-hmm.
Chris and
Yeah.
Santa Claus and reindeer. So they, so and you know, what does that have to do with with the
Right.
birth of
Yeah.
Jesus,
Exactly right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Uh, so Allahu alam, where the where people are going is, they and sometimes people they just look for, a time to celebrate, and they anything, and historically, that's part of what the tree and lights came from, it's during these winter months when it's cold and
Mm-hmm.
things are,
Mm-hmm.
to keep the people's,
Mm-hmm.
spirit alive and things of that nature. So this is in which people could do so without connecting it to, the birth of Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him,
Mm-hmm.
and also, the reality is this is no one really knows his birthday, just like no one knows any other prophets or messengers' birthdays, and it's to try to keep down this fitna, this issue
Mm-hmm.
of what they do, which unfortunately we find Muslims do the same fitna, trying to say this is his birthday when, so they want to celebrate it, in different ways. So, and when there are narrations that say, "Do not do that to me. Do not do what they did to my brother Isa, to Jesus," So, but unfortunately, the Muslims, you find the Muslims who are just don't know the religion, and then people who just follow their desires, just follow what they want.
Kind of like the same thing with the picture I read one hadith, and it was talking about the I don't know if it was one of the companions or just a pedestrian asked the Rasulullah about a
Sallallahu alaihi
portrait
wasallam.
or something like that, and why he don't like the portraits of him or something like that. And he said he don't want them to do the same thing with him that they did with Jesus.
Isa, yeah.
Peace with him.
Right, to go to extremes,
Right to go to extreme
yeah,
worshiping
or
him
to
or
worship
calling him
him, or
right.
to set aside something from him that he did not claim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, طيب. So Maryam, mother of Jesus, peace be upon her, she gives us the perfect opportunity to refresh our knowledge and reflect on their lives from a Islamic perspective. So, so this season helps us to do that, because we forget at times as Muslims the importance of the and or not just importance, but the level of iman and faith that she had, and that her family had, and the hardships that she went through, as a woman as well, and as a believer. And so we could take some benefits from her life, what she went through, and use it, hopefully, to benefit us in our own. So Maryam, the daughter of Imran, is a role model for us all, both men and women. Allah Most High, He chose Mary uh, over all other women, as the ayat we mentioned, all of the women in the world, and so He gave her this special place, this special status. So Allah describes her as being among al Qanitin. Qanitin is those who are devoutly obedient. So not just obedient, but all the time. They devote themselves obedience. So it's constant obedience. So he said about her what means, and Maryam, the daughter of Imran, who guarded her chastity. So she guarded her chastity. She was chaste. She covered herself properly. She kept herself away from mixing and being involved with men. Okay, which uh, unfortunately women don't tend to do that these days. You know, uh, not to put down anyone, but now a chaste woman is just a woman that doesn't have any kids. You know, but she could have been with a million men, but she doesn't have kids.
Yeah.
Or she might still wear a skirt, maybe. But the skirt, how high is it? So uh, it's sad what we look at chastity nowadays, or and we need to check ourselves as to why it's a situation like it is, and why are women not being, thinking chastity is something worth guarding anymore, you know. So do we as men play a role in that?
Mm.
Okay. So he says, who guarded her chastity, so we blew into her garment through our angel, and she believed in the words of her Lord and his scriptures, and was of the devoutly obedient. So she is the only woman with a chapter named after her in the Quran, right? There's no other woman that has a chapter named after her, which this chapter is chapter 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maryam. Okay. And also, not just her, but also her family, Imran. Okay, which is the which chapter? Third chapter, mashallah. So the third chapter of Quran talks about her family, and she's also mentioned in there, and her son is mentioned there, right? So her greatness is due to who she was, not just because she was the mother of Jesus, but who she was before she was the mother of Jesus. What led her up to become that, right? Because she had a special stature already. Allah had already what? Chose her, right? And she was also a product from a righteous family. Her mother prayed, made dua, right? So it started way before Isa even came, right? So he come from a good family. He comes from a good family because the mother was making dua for a child. You bless me with a child. I'm going to get this child for what? Your service, to worship you and to learn and to pray to you. I'm going to teach my child to devote their life towards you, which she was expecting what? A son, right? But Allah gave her what? A daughter, right? And Allah knows what he was doing. So he was preparing this family to have this son. So Jesus himself had a devoutly obedient and prayer for what? Family, right? And so this also just look at the role of women, right? That's another thing. We should look at the role of women and their what? Devoutness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and believing in Allah and praying in Allah, and the fruits of what they get, right? So from this grandmother, she got this what? Righteous grandson.
And it's just something too about all the time that, not in a lustful way, but it's just something like when I see like a Muslim with like covered and stuff like that, that is just like
It's beautiful.
Like beautiful to me.
It's right. It's beautiful
Real,
when you see the women covered properly. You know,
they're confident.
Right. It's a beautiful sight.
No,
you know.
I like I don't look at
I mean, like
humility, and they
like,
being afraid to cover themselves, for Allah, and plus to protect their modesty and stuff, from this world.
I mean, the fact that they don't have to, be extravagant towards the.
Alhamdulillah. طيب. So then, it says she perfected her faith and demonstrates how to have what's called tawakkul. Tawakkul means to have what? Trust. Okay. So when you have tawakkul, you trust, you rely, you have confidence that Allah got this, right? So this is what she had. She relied upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She trusted in Allah. So do we have that level? Do we have that level of tawakkul? Right? So because it's easy to have tawakkul in what? Easy times. But what about when difficult times? Right? Well, okay, when everything's easy, yes, I just relying upon Allah, right? But when things get hard, do we still have that? I'm just relying upon Allah, or we start to lose our mind and go crazy, and and
double guessing,
right? And then we start to not be patient in with the situation. We start not to be patient with the process, right? Because just different things, which is one of the common things that it's many, but just first it came out in relationships and stuff. When things get harder, we continue with our prayers, and do we still continue with our remembrance of Allah, or are we just rushing to get through it so we can get to this problem that we're going through? We want to think about that problem more, when we're in situations. Sometimes, like even when it comes to what's coming, people getting married and things of that nature, right? Do we want to follow the procedure and the steps, or do we want to take shortcuts, and because sometimes it'd be a waiting game. We want things to happen fast, right? For example, uh, like if a brother or either a sister, either one may come, and what's the process with the wali and everything and the wakil, and so you might be trying to get in contact with that person and waiting on this person, waiting on
Right.
you just trying to get the show on the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it takes what? Sabr, patience. And I've known um, brothers who I know of a brother who he told me intentionally, like if someone called him regarding like someone that he was the wakil for, that he wouldn't answer and respond and wait just to see how the brother is responding, right? So he's testing him, right, to see if how he's gonna be, because through with the process. Because if he's mustajil, he's hasty. Why is he so hasty? That becomes quite a question. Why is he in such a rush, right? Because it's like, man, brother, I called you yesterday, you ain't called me back. Wait. Right? Right? You know what I'm saying? Hold on, wait. You know what I'm saying? Man, it's been 2-3 days. He ain't called me. Wait, hold on, wait. It's a week. Oh man, what's going on? Is it so? So have to have patience, because when you enter into marriage, you gotta have patience. You gotta have patience. So if you can't even be patient with the process, well, how would you be patient when things get rough and rocky in the marriage? If you're hasty about this, what else you gonna be hasty about? Are you gonna be hasty to become angry? Are you gonna hasty to abandon and divorce? What what I'm saying? What else you gonna be hasty about, right? Or are you calm and timely and calculated about what you do, right? So we have so there it's a test at times, right? So we have to be patient and trust in the law with the process. Does the process work? Right, because there are restrictions about how Muslims go about things, about getting married and things. We just don't go and I see this female, start hollering at her. I'm at her house. We're going out. We're doing this. We alone. We already know what is gonna end up taking place, especially when you're alone. If y'all feeling each other, shaitan, if you're not, shaitan might come in and make you feel, like the person. And there you go. So we threw the process out the window, and then we wonder why things ain't gonna work, why there's no barakah, why there's no blessings in our situation, because we didn't go through the process, right? Even though things may seem all good, you know what I'm saying, you just living in sin. You know what I'm saying? So it's a dangerous situation that, man, Allah has allowed me to continue to live like this. Hold on. That's something you should think, like, man, why is I know I ain't doing right. Why Allah letting me continue to live like this, and I'm acting like I'm happy? I know something ain't right, right? So so that's when a person really need to turn back to Allah, because that's a dangerous situation. So so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O Maryam, be devoutly obedient to your Lord and prostrate and bow down along with those who bow down, as we said in the surah earlier. So she shows and exemplifies the best of modesty for both men and women. So Maryam's mother, she dedicated her child, as we mentioned, that she was carrying to worship Allah even before the child was born. And Allah accepted her and caused her to grow in the best of manners. Maryam's guardian was also her uncle of hers, who was also a prophet. Which prophet was it? No, what's his name?
Oh, Zachariah.
Nah. So he made a space for her where she could devote herself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not be, you know, mixed with the men, right? Because they had their own synagogues that they would worship at. So she had her own place within there. So he, alayhi salam, he would visit her, and he would find various different things that was amazing. Like, what is this food you have? Where did this come from? Right? I know ain't nobody came here,
Right, right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, this food is out of season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now we get used to we just I want some grapes. Let me go get some grapes.
Right.
I want peaches. I want
Mm-hmm.
right. We go get whatever we want whenever we want from the grocery store. But in certain parts of the world, that's not the case. You get what's in season. You're gonna get the fruits and vegetables that's in that season,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when it's out of that season, one, you ain't gonna find it, or number two, it's gonna be at a upscale type store, and the price is gonna be what high.
Right.
It's gonna be real high,
Right.
right? Because they brought it in from somewhere else, right? So, but we're used to just get whatever we want when we want, right? All the times, right? So here it is. She has, and so you imagine how many years ago they did had us the Amazon to to deliver stuff, right? Coming from the different parts of the world, which will come with another evidence too, uh, that certain foods weren't available. So she would have these things available that was out of season. And he asked, where did it come from? And she said, it is from who? Allah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
She knows it's from Allah. Surely Allah provides from whoever He wills without any limit. Right? So this is the type of iman and faith that we have to have. And before I continue, I just want to make because this is brought to my mind that another supplication that we might want to learn, that we do want to learn, with regard to when we in need. Okay, whenever we're in need, and I don't think any of us are not in need of something, right? We need something, right? So we need something from Allah. So the dua, Rabbi innani lima anzalta ilayya min khair faqir. Okay, so this dua, Rabbi innani lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. This is a dua, this supplication, actually was one of the supplications of Musa alayhi salam, when he was what? In need. Remember, he left from Egypt. He was going to he was headed towards Maryam, and he was in need, in desperate need, right? And so what did Allah send him? Right? He had already set him up where he had did a good deed, right? And now the fruits of that good deed came. That the father wanted to reward him for helping, right?
Yeah.
Right, and right, and offer him a daughter, right, to marry, right? Okay, because the daughters that went back and said this, is this guy, and so understand, he was a prophet himself, and the tarbiyah, the raising of his daughters, they knew that this guy was not like the other guys, not like the other men, and so so they observed his etiquettes, right? His respect for them, right? Not approaching them in any bad way, and so they relaying the information to their father about this man, right? Okay, so obviously one of them must have maybe some interest, right? So he sent his daughter, go get him, bring him back, right? So good etiquettes, being respectful, being good towards women in a good way, respectful, observing the haya and modesty and decency, right? That goes a long way. That goes a long way, right? So sometimes we, try to look at what is how a male should be, right? And so some people have put it, tried to make it where men should be aggressive, just go right at it, you know what I'm saying? So when we think about it, are these the best type of men? And our society is or in the world now, trying to teach us that's the way a man should be towards a woman, and that's what a woman wants. But in reality, we got to go back to who are our role models, the prophets and the messengers. Was that how they did things? No. Our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was not like that either. You know what I'm saying? He was very shy and reserved and laid back. And again, from his ways, Khadijah what approached him, sent someone right, observed him, right. So think about that, Ikhwan. If we follow the way of the Rasul, the messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then it would help us in a lot of our situations. So, right, because we're gonna want to get married, right? So our good character, and right, is gonna be seen. It's gonna, inshallah, attract the right ones, not the, not the
some value.
Right, right. You want someone with value. You don't want they don't have, because like the men out here, the women are competing with no values nowadays, right? So, and even it'll be known, it'll be seen, like this guy, he's different, right? So maybe she may not had, she might be out there, but she's willing to change, because she's seen the characters of what a real man, right? Not this thing that people have been told what a man should be, aggressive and this and this and that. You know what I mean? And
they be pretty persistent.
Yeah, they can be persistent as well.
When they see
right?
Because it's in their nature they wired to look for that.
Because
it's like the animal kingdom. They look for the most strong.
With the alpha male.
Yep.
What does that mean though? The alpha male, right? What does that mean?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Is that and then so what's the difference though? Because we're talking about animal kingdom versus right? But unfortunately, we've turned ourselves into be like animals, right? So when they talk about the alpha male amongst the animals, now we use that term amongst the men about ourselves now,
replication,
right? And so is that the appropriate? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Think before you act.
Just saying, is that the appropriate term? And what does that mean? Because because some of these things have to be defined when people start bringing out these new terminologies.
Definitely.
Because when you talk about an alpha male as far as animals, he's the dominant, and he's this and not to say that. Saying so when you transfer to humans, what does dominance mean? You know what I mean?
Because men,
right? Because right.
They get territorial. They don't necessarily, urinate on, certain
right.
things, but they get territorial, look and stand at you, and act it all,
right.
Man, I don't want your girl, man.
Exactly. Right.
Man, what's wrong with you?
Right. And so are those the proper qualities or ways we should behave? You know what I mean? Right. Should we be protective? Yes. But do we have to be growling at everyone that look our direction, or so it's how to handle those things, So we have to be careful, right? But we definitely find the best examples in those who preceded us from the prophets and messengers, and no doubt Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam being the final prophet and messenger as the best example, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. No. So. So as described in Surah Maryam, when approached by an angel in the form of a man, she immediately did what? Said, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim," right? She sought refuge in Allah, the most merciful, right? Because she was what? You ain't supposed to be here. Who are you? Right? She was a woman who was modest and chaste. So the angel brought glad tidings of the pure child she would carry as Allah had decreed, and provided for her in the most difficult times as she bore the pains of childbirth, and as she faced her astonished people with her child, making her baby Isa speak from the cradle to protect her name. So her situation, when she was approached by this this angel, she sought refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? But when the angel spoke with her, she came to realization because that this must be an angel, right? And she believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but she was shocked because you said you're gonna have a baby. How?
Right.
How? No, you know what I'm saying? No one's touched me, right? I'm not out there like that. I'm not a woman of the streets. I'm not a woman who mixes with men, right? So how does that happen? And And the angel told her all it's easy for Allah. He doesn't say He creates what He wills by saying what? Kun fayakun. Be and it is. So Allah says, and what means such is Allah. The angel says, such is Allah. He creates what He wills. When He decrees a matter, He says kun, be, and it is. And that's the big bang, so to say, kun, be. That's the only bang, the be and the bang, right? Be and it is, right? So Allah, He creates everything how He wants and how He wills, right? And so this is easy for Allah, and people unfortunately go into blue extremism over this issue that that Isa alayhi salam didn't have a father, okay? But but they don't go into this similar that Adam alayhi salam, who is all of our father, didn't have a father either or a mother, right? So is it easier to create something from nothing or something you already that's already in existence, right? So it's harder if there's nothing to go off of, but you already have the woman, right? So the people have to think this is not a huge issue with Allah that he can make a woman pregnant without the use of a man.
Right.
He created and brought man from existence. We are formed from what? Clay, from dirt. We believe that, right? And then we believe that Eve, our mother, came from the rib of our father. But we can't believe that God could create another man for, the natural way that women, that we all come into the world now through the woman.
Right.
So why can't do that without the intervention of man? And nowadays, it's still an intervention, but they still do it. They get pregnant now, right, without the intervention of a man.
Yeah.
Right? Artificial, what?
Simulation.
Right. So why this couldn't? Why why the big deal? Okay, it was a miracle, right? But that doesn't mean now that this is the Son of God. This is God. No, right? And it's like it's some of the prayers that we were taught when I was in school. Hail Mary, right? Wait. Some of us like the mother of. They say it all the time. Mother of God. Mother of God. How? Right? How? Mother of God. How is that?
Innate.
How is that?
They don't even
So
use...
she gave birth to God. Right? But it doesn't. No matter how you dress it up and try to make it sound palatable, at the end of the day, your statement, Mother of God, she gave birth to God. Okay, that doesn't make sense. She gave birth to, or as some of them say, the Son of God, right? Which is, we know how many previous nations spoke in that way, that my son is the son of Zeus, the son of this, right? Right, same concept that they've taken and right, and that they use, but no, he's
it is from philosophy,
right? So he's a worshiper and servant of God, right? So Maryam, she was mentioned in the Quran, right? In the Quran, 34 times in 11 different chapters of the Quran, and Isa, Jesus, he was mentioned in the Quran by name 25 times in 11 chapters as well. Right? Nah. So this is something that, just brief information that the people should know, right? And then say, here, we got a copy. Go read for yourself what it is that the Muslims believe about Isa in brief. Because then we have to also go to the hadith where Prophet Muhammad also talks about Jesus.
And he was related to him.
No, right? So they are brothers in what? Prophecies, right? Brothers from another mother, right? Inshallah. So we're gonna. So this week, some of our families, may indulge in these activities, and maybe let's just send them some information, instead. We don't participate in this major crime, because it's disrespectful to say that God had a son, right? Is that God had a mother, you know, um, and no one knows his birthday, right? And if we truly want to show our love and dedication to Jesus, then we should worship who Jesus worship.
Right.
Pray to who Jesus prayed to. Fast to who
Spoke
Jesus
Aramaic,
fasted,
who came
right?
in Arabic.
Right. That's how we show our love for Jesus, by following him in those ways, praying and worshiping who he worshiped, right? So he was an example for the people to do. And likewise, his mother, his uncle, her mother, right? His cousin, Yahya, John, right? So they were all worshipers of what? Of God, Allah alone. And they were not worshipers of themselves or Jesus, nor did they tell anyone, worship me. They never said, worship me. They never said, worship my mother, but the people have done so. Inshallah. We stop here, inshallah. سبحانك وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك.